My name is Julie Plec, and I am the executive producer.
So exactly, as EP, like what control do you have of what's going on in the show? Like, are you in with the writers? Are you helping look for locations? Like,
Everything
what's
and
a day
everything,
in the life of
anything and
you?
everything. A day in the life of me is everything from writing, rewriting, sitting in the editing room, noting a cut, picking music,
So you're kind of supervising every.
approving wardrobe, choosing casting, signing off on location photos. You know, the whole Megillah. That's
She the boss.
the boss, co-boss, one of many bosses.
All right, so I'm just gonna get right to the spoiler.
Oh no.
April 7th. What's gonna happen?
Is that our first episode back?
Yes. Tell
Yeah.
us
Know
what
thy
you can
enemy.
tell us.
Well, last we saw Isabel was knocking on the front door,
Right.
and one of the first things that comes out of her mouth is, "Hello, Elena. Nice to see you again." And for Jenna, who of course up to that point only, thought Isabel was dead, that sets off a problem for Elena and for Alaric, and how they deal with that is one thing, and of
With
course
Jenna, how they do
with
it?
yeah, how they deal with that with Jenna, and then ultimately, what is Isabel doing there? She claims not to care, but we've seen glimpses that she might. Elena has absolutely no reason to trust her, and Isabel's going to kind of come in, spinning a good tale about the danger that's on its way in the form of Klaus. And what do they do about it? And we've got Matt, who last we saw had kind of put together, connected the dots about Caroline being a vampire, and that the death of his sister, which is vampire related, he's freaking out about that. So now he's kind of in the know, and where do we go with that? There's a lot of things changing, and character relationships changing as we tee up the imminent arrival of Klaus.
Well, and was it in Daddy's? What was that episode?
Daddy issues.
Uncle John, didn't he say if what Isabella's planning works, you won't have to worry about class or something like that?
He did say that. That's very attentive of you.
So apparently it didn't work, right?
Isabel is very smart, and they've been, referencing her research all year and things that she knows. And so one of the things that she will come back and say is that she's been trying to track down Klaus, and maybe so that they can nip it in the bud before he comes to Mystic Falls looking for Elena.
I love how there's
Excuse me, guys. I'm sorry. I have a tickle in my throat that is not going away.
it seems like everybody's very good at one-upping the next person.
Yes.
Like Catherine's very good at tricking people, and then Isabella looks like she might be a little bit better.
Yeah. You can't really trust a vampire when all's said and done, or a human for that matter. Everybody's always going to, especially people like Catherine, they're always going to be looking out for themselves, or looking out for someone else that's more important to them than you. And watching those moves twist and turn, that's why Elena's staring at her birth mother in the face and saying, "I don't believe a word you say, because why should I?" And so when her birth father, who has been up to his own no good in the past, is saying, "No, I think you really need to trust her," then she's not going to know what to do or
But
how
she
to
can't
handle
really
it.
trust him. She doesn't really trust him either.
No, she does not. That's the problem. And yet, what if they're right? So that's one of the things she's going to have to go through.
So the witches seem to be disappearing on the show, and now Bonnie's like she's got her powers back. What can you tell us anything about what the witch angle is gonna?
Well,
gonna happen
Bonnie's
with the witches?
importance in the final chapter of the season, which is the Klaus chapter, is monumental. I mean, forgive me for a second. I want to make sure we know where we've aired.
She's kind of on her own now.
Yeah, she's on her own. But as we've seen, the hint of what's to come is that Damon knows this location where all the witches died several hundred years ago. That if Bonnie could just tap into that location, the power of that those witches left behind, that she would actually be strong enough, maybe to be a good weapon in the battle against Klaus. and that's something that we'll be looking into right as we get back from the hiatus. Is can she harness this power? Can she use it to
I
kill
feel like
Klaus?
she needs
Can
a
she
bit
be
of a
strong enough?
mentor, like someone, because she's kind of had someone to guide her for a bit. Like she had her grandmother, and then she met new witches, and now they're gone. And
Yeah, well,
so
everybody on our show, the minute they get comfortable in a
Yeah.
mentor relationship, the mentor goes, that's part of, boiling it down to its basic human themes. You're not always going to be led through life by somebody that knows more than you do. A lot of times when you're young and you're scared and you've got all these things going on inside you that you don't understand, you just kind of got to get through them yourself. And she lost her most, sort of her solid mentor, Graham's, too early. And Tyler lost his uncle, Mason, early, and Elena lost her parents. I mean, Matt's mom is absentee. It's a recurring theme in our show that you're on your own. And so it's the family that you create and the loyalties and the friendships that you trust that help you get you through it emotionally. Those people aren't going to necessarily teach you how to get through it.
I also see a sort of West Side Story thing in the love
Indeed.
relationships.
Indeed.
Sort of a hate them because they're different, or that kind of thing. Is that something that just happens because it's vampires and werewolves and witches and everything, or do you guys consciously think about, let's make sure this is in there?
Well, I think with the vampires and the werewolves, we very much, like to embody a Romeo and Juliet kind of notion. I mean, they are historically and biologically incompatible. And whenever you have a situation like that where the bite of a werewolf will kill a vampire, I mean, there's love that's gotta come out of that. Tragic love.
Single, and then we're
Okay.
going to session.
Yeah, great. So, yes, I mean, we start every story with what's the love story, what's the tragic side of the love story, what's the epic side of the love story. How can we make this as beautiful and poetic and yet also as painful as possible? And really, that goes back to Shakespeare when all said and done. And that's how we like to, that's how we like to begin.
I mean, those are real classic things.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Family, loss, grief, brotherhood, loyalty. I mean, it's all rooted there. Thanks, you guys.
thank you so much.